So I have read the Bible the whole way through in the past 5 years, almost 2 times now. I'm about to finish for the second time. Now, I don't say that to boast. I probably should have read more than that in this time. However, that's what I've read. And when I first started reading the Bible 8 years ago, when I started to build a faith in the biblical God, I started off reading the King James Version. Some of you right now might be thinking about reading the King James Version, and it is understandable why. A lot of people, which is what I had heard from a lot of people, is that the King James Version is the most accurate translation of the Bible. So, like stewards of the word, we want to read the most accurate translation of the Bible. However, unless you are born in the 1700s and you are like a mathematician with a PhD, it is a really hard translation of the Bible to read. When I first started trying to read it, I kept falling asleep. I couldn't get past the first couple chapters and I just couldn't understand what I was reading. And it made the Bible super inaccessible. And now to this day, when I hear people saying that people should read the King James Version only, I just get sad. Because after I tried to read the Bible initially in the King James Version, I didn't read the Bible for like 3 years because I just thought, like, I could never understand this. And I'm always going to need someone to have to explain it to me. So I just then would just go to church, and I never had any proper daily devotionals for myself. I would always just listen to someone regurgitating the scriptures. Now, there is a place for that, but it does not replace our own personal study of the scriptures. That is essential. What I would recommend personally is the New International Version. Now, there are many other different translations. All of them are good in their own right, but there is no perfect translation of the Bible. To get the perfect translation of the Bible would be to read the original scriptures. So you'd have to learn Greek, Hebrew, and Aramaic. Unless you know them, you're going to have to read a translation, and those are all susceptible to, how someone translates it. Like, there are a different number of words in a different language to our language. There are a different number of characters. So to translate what the writer would exactly mean can be difficult. And there are different ways of therefore translating. Do you then translate word for word and then the meaning might be lost? Or do you translate what the meaning was of that sentence so that the other person can understand? Because someone who understands that language can understand what the meaning is as they read it, if that makes sense. But if they translate word for word, then that meaning could be lost. There is a time and a place for every type of translation. And though I am saying that I think the King James Version is very hard to read, when I have my devotionals and reading the Bible in the morning, I will often compare the translations and see what the original King James Version said, and then look at what those words actually were in the original Greek and Hebrew and see what multiple meanings those words can have. So the King James Version is still an awesome translation of the Bible. But if you are just starting out, if you are just trying to dip your toes into the faith and get an overall understanding of the stories in the Bible and the purpose and overall meaning of teachings in there, then the NIV version is a fantastic version to read. Some people are going to tell you otherwise. Some people get real prideful about it and no, I'll never. Don't get caught up in that. Just be stewards of the word, read the Bible, hear the stories, and just read multiple versions later on as you go along. Once you've read the NIV, then read the King James Version if you can. Because what I don't want you to do is to start reading the scriptures and find it, not only are you struggling to understand the spiritual teachings, but you're also struggling to understand the language, which is making it doubly hard for you to learn and to really hear about Christ, hear about what Jesus teaches. That is what is most important. And the majority of it is all there, between the different versions. You get the point, which is what's most important, is you get the point about Christ, that this guy died, this is how he lived. And for me, after giving up on the King James Version, it wasn't until 3 years later that I picked up an NIV version of the Bible after being recommended that by some sincere and incredible Christians. I then transformed my faith. I've then been reading my Bible every single day for the past 5 years. I've read the Bible twice. I'm now able to dip into the King James Version, and I understand what it is saying now because I have an overall understanding of the points within the Bible, which makes that more digestible. And I have now grown in my own walk with God, and that would never have happened without years and years and years and years and years of training and learning Old English and learning what thy, thou, and thee means. And so, I hope this is helpful to someone out there who is right now wanting to read the Bible and has been struggling with reading the King James Version, and they're able to really digest that food, that they're wanting to have. So, that is my time. Take it easy.